Good evening and welcome to another episode of Maths in an Empty Classroom with me, Mr Southern. This is lesson 3 on probability v binomial distribution. What you will have noticed with the start of this video is the example that I'm going to be going through this evening is quite wordy. So rather than writing it up on my whiteboard where I've got minimal space, I've actually inserted a screen into the start of this video with the full example written out that you can pause the screen and copy up. Of course, if you have access to the Ringwood School Learning Zone, you can download the examples as a Word document. But if you don't, go back to the start of the video, pause it. That's the example that we're referring to. Okay, right, so part A then, we have a car salesman who sees 20 customers on any given day, and the probability of making a sale is 0.05. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make it very clear that X is the number of sales that the car salesman makes, and then I'm going to define my distribution. X follows the binomial distribution 20, 0.05, where 20 is the number of customers that he sees, and 0.05 is his probability of making a sale. Part A is asking us the probability that the salesman sells at least 2 cars. So we are after the probability that X is greater than or equal to 2. So at least 2 cars, 2 or more. So we need to think about what are our acceptable outcomes that we want, and what are the ones that we don't want, and we're going to be using the cumulative function of the binomial distribution to calculate our answer. So first of all, we're thinking then, right, okay, greater than or equal to 2 means that we want anything from 2 up to a maximum of 20, which would be selling a car to every person he met that day, which means the results that we don't want would be 0 and 1. And what that means is that the probability of X being greater than or equal to 2 is equal to 1 minus the probability that X is less than or equal to 1. So we want to calculate the probability of selling 0 or 1 car, subtract that from 1 to find the probability of selling 2 or more. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to use my binomial CD function that we've talked about using in a previous lesson, and I've got that preloaded on here. Except that I haven't, that's okay, I'll just get that in there now. And the probability of selling less than or equal to 1 is 0.73583. So I'm going to store that value in the calculator, do 1 minus that answer, which gives me 0.2642. To 4 decimal places. Now, part B. Part B is asking, find the probability that on exactly 2 of the next 5 days, the car salesman sells at least 2 cars. Now, this is a different question, because this isn't about a specific number of cars being sold. This is about this happening on a specific number of days. So I've actually got a new binomial distribution here. So I'm going to write this out. I'm going to let y equal the number of days that he sells at least 2 cars. Oh no, that he sells, yes, at least 2 cars. And what that means is my new binomial distribution y follows binomial 5, because in the question we're being asked about out of the next 5 days, and it's 0.2642. And that is the probability of selling at least 2 cars on any given day. Now the question is asking me what's the probability on exactly 2 of the days, So it's the probability that x equals 2, or y, y equals 2. So to do this, because I'm after a specific value, not up to and including a certain value, I'd be going into binomial PD, and I'd be giving it the n is 5, p is 0.2642, and y in this case, although it's x on the calculator, is 2. So I'll do that now. Binomial PD, x is 2, n is 5, and p is 0.2642, which comes out as 0.2781 to 4 decimal places. Okay, if you notice a slight pause there, my little girl just woke up, so I had to deal with that, very briefly come back. So what we've actually done here is we've started with one binomial distribution, worked out the probability of something happening, and we've then begun to look at what is the probability of that thing then happening on a certain number of days in the future. So we worked out the probability that they sell at least 2 cars to the 20 customers to be 0.2642. And then we said, okay, so our success now is either they sell at least 2 cars or they don't. So success is they sell at least 2 cars. And what's the probability that that happens on exactly 2 of the next 5 days? That's generated a new binomial distribution, and the probability of that we've worked out there. Now in part 2 of this lesson, we'll look at part C of this example from the first screen on this video. See you then.